Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Tiger Talk podcast. This morning, we're having a conversation with Mr. Ward. How are we doing this morning, Mr. Ward?
Great. Yeah, I just had period one, and it went really well. So my morning's going pretty great. How about you?
Not too bad. What was your lesson about this morning?
Well, we're finishing up Cleopatra, and so we're learning about the transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire through the story of Cleopatra, because it was Julius Caesar that basically ended the Roman Republic, and it was Octavian Augustus who then starts the Roman Empire. So it's a watershed event in history, and so that's what I try to focus on when I teach, is watershed events. A watershed event means basically the events changed the course of human history.
Was your class pretty engaged this morning?
Yeah, they're always engaged. They're really good kids. I'm not from California. I'm from Nebraska. I came from a very large family, so I have 13 brothers and sisters, and I'm number 12. And so I went into the military, and after the military, some of my older siblings were living in California, and so I came out to California because they were here, and I lived in LA for a while because that's where my family was living, in Los Angeles, and they still are. I went to LAVC, Los Angeles Valley College, in Los Angeles, and after that I transferred to Chico State. That's where I got my degree. I got a degree in history and philosophy, so it's a double major, and then I got my teaching credential, and then I started teaching at Live Oak 25 years ago, so I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Do you want to share with the students maybe a little bit about what you were like when you were a kid, when you were their age?
So I did, we had a large family, and so by American standards, we didn't grow up with a lot of money, and my dad was a mechanic for the Union Pacific Railroad, and my mom worked in a cafeteria. So between all the kids, I wasn't really, no one's going to take me shopping at the mall for new clothes, and so I always, of course, I wanted to have nice clothes. I wanted to present myself well, and so we just shopped at the Goodwill and thrift stores, and so that's kind of where I got started with that. And what I learned was that, money can't buy you style. So if you want style and you want to look good, you don't have to go out and get the latest pair of sneakers. There's all this pressure to go out and buy new things and have the latest this and that. And it's very expensive to do that. And when you can't afford that and you see everybody else doing it, I had to find another way. And so I started just thrifting and going to the Goodwill and collecting things that I liked, and kind of mixing old in with new. And I felt really good about it. I felt really satisfied about it. And so it just kind of became a way of life. And I've been doing it ever since. And now I'm 58 years old and I'm still doing it. So I was really happy about that.
Nice. We'll get more on your style here in a second. Before we get there, was there a specific moment or something that kind of led you towards either a love of history or wanting to become a history teacher?
I've always really loved history, even as a kid. So I was really, because my dad was a World War II veteran, and so I kind of felt close to it. I kind of felt, that had a connection with World War II. And a lot of young students have that connection with World War II. There again, that's a watershed event in history. It's pretty big. And so I was really enthralled by that, and so I always read history, mainly military history when I was a kid. And then as I got older, that expanded. Obviously I broadened my interests, and it just became a general interest in history, in general. I also like literature and things like that as well. So I read a lot of literature as well. Well, when you're in college, you really don't. Well, when you're young, your world does this. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
You have all these
almost endless possibilities.
Yeah, endless possibilities. As you get older, it kind of narrows. You know what I mean? And as that narrowed, I just knew that I wanted to be a history teacher. I did work a lot of other jobs. I was a manager at Walmart, which I really liked. It was a good job, but I just knew I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. And so I really appreciate the time. I learned a lot, and I really appreciate all the different jobs that I've done. I've worked as a mechanic, a roofer, a fencer. I've done all kinds of things. I managed a bookstore for a little while. I did a lot of things, but in the end, I ended up knowing that I really wanted to be a teacher.
Awesome. All right. How would you say that your personal style has played a role in, I guess, who you are as a person and who you are as you present yourself in history class?
I really like, because I have, it's called Antiquarianism.
What does that mean? I don't think I've ever heard that word before.
The study of antiques, basically. So that's where you like, little artifacts and, well, what is that? What's that little clip go to? Well, it goes to a clip on a Roman military uniform or stuff like that. I really have been kind of attracted to that. I really like that kind of stuff. And so clothing kind of falls into that niche for me. And I really like to see how people dressed back in the old days and the evolution of technology and clothing and just in general. And so I try to incorporate a lot of that into in history. I try to bring in a lot of artifacts that are interesting for kids. And so, yeah, it does. I collect a lot of things. I'm a collector. I collect anything. Basically, if something causes or sparks that little explosion in your brain, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like you just see something or that's cool, right? And just kind of just boom, you get that little adrenaline rush or that dopamine hit in your head that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
I have to have it. And so then I'll buy it. And, and typically I don't spend very much money on things. I get things pretty inexpensive. I don't spend a lot of money on it. And so I end up collecting a lot of just, oddball things. And so I use those in history as much as I can. I during Halloween, I'll dress up like Julius Caesar or something like that. And so, yeah.
Do you have some relatively big collections of things at your home?
I do. It's cool. I like it, but I know that collecting a lot of things can be a burden too. And so as I've gotten older, I'm more careful as to what I collect. So I have a lot of, strange things that are kind of cool. I don't know, they're quirky or whatever.
On that note, do you have a specific one you want to talk about or share? Maybe your quirkiest or your weirdest or maybe the coolest story behind what you have?
I collect a lot of military gear. I like it. I think it's cool. It's getting harder and harder to find, but I really am very enthusiastic about collecting.
Like all militaries, American military.
Oh, yeah,
what
yeah.
do you have?
I like the foreign stuff. I like the old Soviet Union stuff. Warsaw Pact stuff because it's cheap and available. And I know what it is. When I see something cool, like at a military surplus store for a couple bucks, I'll buy it. I think it's cool, and I try to incorporate that into my wardrobe as well.
Yeah, it's really cool if you're able to incorporate that into your style and then also bringing things into class for students to be able to see firsthand. That's pretty sweet.
It is cool. And old uniforms, stuff like that. I wouldn't wear the entire uniform, obviously, but you'd mix it in an interesting way. And so I try to do that a lot too. I just feel comfortable with it. It's just who I am.
Has there ever been a time where you felt either internal or external pressure to maybe tone down who you are or your style, whether from a young man to now?
No, I would, because in my opinion, when you feel that sense of maybe I should tone it down or whatever, I just see that really as my insecurity kind of bubbling up for a second, and then I put that in check. And that's usually, for me, I don't like to be underdressed. So if I go to an event or something like that, I don't ever want to be underdressed. That's not a good feeling to me. That falls into the not fun category. I want to be in the fun category. And so I'll always lean into that. I'll always lean into, never being, underdressed, always being more expressive. And so I don't think it's a good idea to try to, sometimes, but I don't feel it's a good idea to try to blend in or to look like everybody else. I think you be you. And that's really my message, is you be you, and have the courage to do that. And when you start doing it, you'll get more comfortable with it. And after a while, it's just a way of life. You can't really be any other way. So if you're always thinking about what somebody else is, if you're always judging yourself by what somebody else might be thinking of you, they might even not even really be thinking of that, but it's your insecurity, and it's really holding you back. So I say, just have the courage, be yourself, you be you. And it's just fashion in clothes and all that. It's just self-expression. So it's just creativity is all it is. So style comes from creativity. And and not money, basically. That's really what I would like to tell everybody. And you be you, and don't be afraid to be you. Always be you. Always try to be authentic. And if you like it and it causes that little explosion in your brain, that's you. That's what you like, you know. And I think what happens is when you're younger, you really have a sense of that, of who you were the things that you liked when you were a kid, and that's really you before the world left its impression on you. You know what I mean? And as you get older, you get all these layers of things. You know what I mean? Because life is hard, life is tough, and you know there's all these expectations and things like that. And so all these layers of things kind of bury who you were as a kid. You know, as you grow older, and I think if you can cut through all that and get back to who you were when you were a kid and the things that you really liked as a kid, the things that you were really passionate about when your world was this and not this, you know, because when your world is that's not good. It's very limited, you know. And so when your world is like that, everything seems possible, and that's what you want to get back to. And so now a lot of the kids at the school are still in that stage where your world is like this, you know. And I say keep that, and always remember who that is, and always stay true to that. That's why I have kids write a letter to themselves.
Their future selves?
Yeah, their future selves, and we put it in that time capsule, because when they graduate from college, or from high school, or in college in some cases, I want them to be able to see who that kid was that had all these dreams and all these expectations when the world was like this, you know. And I want you to hold on to that, because that's really key. That's your superpower, you know. That's where all that comes from.
With that, what would you say to a student who maybe is already struggling, whether it be internal doubts or other people maybe making fun of them or not appreciating them for who they are? What advice would you give to a student to help them overcome, those feelings of not being able to be who they are?
Just be you. You be you. Bet on yourself, because at the end of the day, all that really matters is your family. You know, so it's family first. And it's just really about you. And don't let other people, if you let somebody else be in the driver's seat of your life, that's not going to work out so well for you. You know, you're going to end up, ending up in places that you don't want to be, right? And so you got to take control of that. You got to take control of the wheel and figure out who you are and what you want to be, and believe in yourself, and have dreams and goals and go for those. And don't be afraid to do that, to express yourself and to go for the things that you want, and don't be afraid to fail. If something doesn't work, it's not a big deal. Learn from it. And that's the other thing I want to say is, you're going to make mistakes in life. It's going to happen, but don't be the person. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be the person that made that mistake. Be the person that learned from the mistake, and that's key, because you are going to make mistakes in life. It's like when you practice a sport or something like that. During practice, you're going to make mistakes, but if you learn from those mistakes, you'll get better. And so, that's really what it's all about. Honestly, is just learn from your experiences. So if you experience something that's maybe negative. And we're going to have negative experiences in life. That's only normal, right? Think how boring life would be if everything was perfect, or think how boring a story or a movie would be if everything's perfect. You know, it wouldn't be an interesting movie, right? So it's embrace the struggle. Is what I'm trying to say. That's what life is. It's like a video game or anything else. You're going to go through struggles, but learn from it, and that's how you grow. That's how you go from this to this, to this, to this, to this, to this. But if you're afraid to even try, if you're afraid to fail, you'll never grow. You'll just stay right where you are, and that's not a good thing, So just embrace it, and don't shy away from it.
Yeah, that's a lifelong process. It's not something that you only do as a kid. That's something you should.
Yeah,
it's an ongoing thing.
And it helps to have support, I've been blessed in my life with a lot of support from because I have a large family, and a lot of support in that way. And there's people who support you at the school, the teachers, the administration, everybody. We're here to support you and to help you become the person that you want to be. And so, if somebody, if there's someone that's in your life, that you're someone who's a friend who's not
bringing you down,
someone who's bringing you down or whatever, just gravitate towards the people who support you, and don't listen to, there's a lot, because now with the internet and stuff, there's a lot of, people say things that they wouldn't say in person or whatever. Just ignore it, basically.
Yeah, and on that, also be careful to not become that person yourself for others.
Oh, yeah, that's key. Thank you for saying that, because that's key, because it's easy to get dragged into it because you want to defend yourself or whatever, and all of a sudden, you're involved in situations that you probably don't want to be involved with.
You don't want to feed into that negativity.
No, yeah, you just want to avoid that stuff, basically. Most problems in life, honestly, if you really think about it, could be avoided. They really could. Most. And so that would be key to that. Is just avoid all that. Stay positive. Have a positive mindset. Don't have a negative mindset. Because when you see somebody with a negative mindset, they're just going to drag you down. And so you don't need that in your life. So stay positive, be around positive people, and be positive yourself. Yeah, and then you'll avoid probably 99% of all those problems.
Great advice. All right, let's move into talking more about some recent events. You found some, I guess you could say a somewhat widespread audience online through your social media accounts, MrWardStyle. How did that start for you? More specifically, how did the social media account itself start? Was that something you thought of? Would somebody else recommend that to you?
Yeah, it was my daughter. Yeah, she's TikTok crazy. I'm really close with my family and my son and my daughter, and so we're like a team. And so anyway, she's been doing TikToks since high school, pretty seriously, and she learned a lot about about TikTok and social media and how to make videos. And it's just something she's very passionate about. And then she got out of college. She's a senior in college now, but her semester ended like the 20th of May of last semester. So she came home, and then she was at home for about 2 weeks. And then she said, hey, let's do some TikToks. She goes, why don't you do some fit checks? Because she's come to school with me and she's been in class and she really enjoys it. And she's like, this is really cool. If we could catch this on tape, I think people would be interested. And so she's like, she offered for me to do it. And what was it? I couldn't say no, right? Because when you're working with your daughter or your son, that makes you closer. And I'm an empty nester now. My kids are gone. And that doesn't feel real good, when you're a parent and they're gone. You don't get to talk to them as much. You don't get to have as many interactions with them. So I saw this as a really good opportunity, because I know if we were doing this, even when she went back to college or whatever, that I would be communicating with her every day, and we were kind of working on a project, and that we could kind of remain close and we could still have that contact. So of course I want to support her 100%. And she was using it as her senior project, her capstone project, because she's a communications major with a degree in videography. And so I really wanted to help her out with that. And so of course I did it. And we learned a lot. We really did. And so you can go back to the beginning of those videos until now, and I've learned a lot, and she's learned a lot. And so it just kind of it really took off, the whole thing. I would say, I think about 2.5 weeks into school, it went viral, and it's that video went to 9.8 million views. And so at that point, I think the audience really grew beyond Live Oak. And it's kind of weird, because before it was just all Live Oak people that I was basically communicating with, and now there's people from all over the world, so it has changed in that sense. It's evolved, I suppose, but at the end of the day, it's all about Live Oak for me.
Yeah. A lot of people, especially in middle school, feel pressure to fit in.
Yeah.
And you've obviously used, even outside your platform beforehand, you've always been someone about standing out.
Yeah.
What has this experience taught you with gaining some widespread attention about the importance of being yourself?
Yeah, it's just this is the exact same message I've always been giving people, and I've always been trying to demonstrate in terms of just being a walking example of that. I really try to stay true to that. Like I said, staying true to yourself is essential, because if you try to fit in and you try to be like everybody else, it's not good. You're just basically going to be invisible. And you don't want to be invisible, because I think everyone's special and everybody has gifts, and so you got to let those gifts shine, whatever they might be. So for me, it was fashion, but for somebody else, it could be whatever it is. You be you.
So how do you see your role as a teacher and your newfound success as a content creator influencing each other? Do you see it as two separate worlds, or have they started to merge and kind of become one thing?
Yeah, I've just incorporated it into my main focus, which is the students, and so it's just part of what I do. But my main focus is always going to be being a teacher, and it's always going to be about the students. You know, 'cause people ask me, "Oh, don't you get bored teaching the same thing every year?" I said, "No, because it's not about me. It's about the students, and the students are new every year, and you know, there's
The way they interact with it is always different.
It's
I mean,
always different.
It's all
yeah.
individuals. Yeah.
So to me, it's about them, and it's new to them. And so I don't get bored with that because the focus isn't really on me. I don't think like, oh, I have to do this again or something like that. I don't really think that way. So to me, it's always about being a teacher and being as supportive as I can and working within the team here at Live Oak, because the team here is awesome. It really is, from administration all the way down. It's just a fantastic place to work. So I'm very grateful for that, and I always will be. It's been 25-year odyssey. It's really exciting. It's a huge part of my life, and it always will be.
Awesome. All right. So we've talked about your incredible style, and with that, I mean, I can see the shirt you're wearing today. I appreciate the NFL shirt.
Yeah.
Is that something you thrifted, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's old NFL apparel from the '70s. So it's got all the old logos and stuff, and it's got the Elvis collars. It's pretty cool, and it's really high quality. So the old NFL apparel is excellent. It's hard to find, but if you do find it, it's pretty cool. So I like this because it reminds me of when I was a kid. You know, all the old logos. You know how they change over time, and they had expansion teams and all that. Yeah. So this is like throwback to the original NFL.
I've been looking at it. I like it.
It's
really
pretty.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Snazzy.
I know. I've never seen another one like it. So
I mean, on the topic of the NFL, we can go on a tangent real quick. Are there any emergent teams or storylines that you've been interested in this short season that we've had so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Omaha, and so Omaha is very connected and close to Kansas City, and so I grew up a Kansas City fan. I know that's not very popular out here because people are Raider fans or Niner fans, and I appreciate the Niners, and the Raiders. But at the end of the day, I'm more of an AFC guy, less of an NFC guy. So I like the AFC West in particular, and I know you're a Charger guy. And so we're always battling it out.
We're on top of the West right now.
Yeah, I know. You are.
Worried about your Chiefs at all? I mean,
I am worried
they're
about
having
them.
some struggles.
Yeah, they are. They're struggling, and even their victories aren't convincing to me. I think, they're a little bit shaky right now. But we've had a pretty good run. And you got to imagine, I've been following the Chiefs since the 70s, and those have been some pretty rough years. So I went through a long, dry spell with the Chiefs, but I stuck with them.
So you've been enjoying the last 5 or 7 years or so?
It's about 7 or 8 years. Ever since basically Andy Reid got there, that's been very exciting for me. So it's nice. And when the Royals do well, every once in a while they'll do well, that's exciting too. So I enjoy, the Royals as well.
Do you ever get a chance to make it out to any live sport games?
Yeah, I do. I like to. What I've been doing for, I would say the last 10 years is trying to go to a professional baseball game at a stadium that I've never been to before.
Oh, that's
about
cool.
once a year, yeah. And so I'm about almost halfway through the stadiums.
Where'd you go last year? Were you able to go last year?
Well, this year I went to the A's game. That's the only
in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's the only one. And that's a new stadium for me, and it's a very exciting stadium actually because it's so small. It's kind of quaint, like the old school, like the old days where you see those pictures of people kind of sitting on the grass, kind of watching the hitters' stadium because they're hitting home runs in the left field basically every time, and so it's very high scoring. I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty quaint and inexpensive and close. And it was easy to get there. Parking was simple. I loved it.
That's cool.
I loved the experience. And it's unusual because it's only going to last for 2 years, and they're going to go to Vegas. So I wanted the opportunity to see that. But yeah, I do. I try to make it at least once a year to some sort of professional sporting event. I really like going live, especially with baseball. It's a totally different experience when you're there as to watching it on TV.
All right. So we've talked about your incredible style, and it felt like we couldn't just talk about it. We kind of wanted to see it in action.
Yeah.
So what we've already done is Mr. Ward and I actually went out on location at Bootleg in Chico.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ward showed me around, gave me some style tips, and maybe even dressed me in some outfits. All right. So we're going to show you that video now, along with some pictures and other things of the outfits from what Mr. Ward chose for me. So roll the clip.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Here, try that hat on, man.
At this one.
Yeah, I gotta look that way.
How do I look, Tigers?
What do you think? All right, we try. Here, try this on. Take that off.
We're here at Sue's in downtown Chico. Mr. Ward's
Here, try that
styling
one
me
on.
for the afternoon.
Now, yeah, get a shot of that. And then now roll the sleeves up.
Full body shot, yeah. Styled by Mr. Ward.
It does look good on him.
Right?
So try that.
Anything you wear, so it's...
And of course the shoes got to go with that. You got to go with something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are we thinking?
It has to well, I would just do the boots again, honestly, because they fit. Those are called Beetle boots because the Beatles made them popular in the 60s. Yeah, see, that's a better look because now your belt complements your shoes, which is supposed to complement your shirt, right?
Yeah.
So you got more of a thing going on, right? And then black shoes always make you more grounded. So if you have a light colored pair of shoes, you won't look as grounded. You have really nice light colored shoes, but tennis shoes don't make you look grounded. And that's the problem with tennis shoes. But that makes you look grounded, and that's a different look.
Grounded,
All right.
so that's one of the main things.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
wanna
For
look
shoes,
grounded?
yeah, for shoes, you want to be grounded with that, and then on up. Okay, cool. I don't know. What do you think, Breeza?
Oh, that's good.
Outfit number
Like it?
2.
But do you like the cowboy fit better?
I do.
Yeah, I like the cowboy fit better too. Now you go ahead and give him a pose. How are you feeling about that, Breeza?
Oh, it's good.
But you like the cowboy fit better?
I 100% do.
Yeah, I do too. But that's a good work look. Okay, cool. Let's try some coats on. Take that off. And it's an affordable outfit too. That's a nice look for you because you're so tall and thin. That looks good. Because coats make big statements.
What's your go-to coat?
I have so many. I have a deep coat game. It's hard for me to say, but coats make the biggest statement, right? And then, you make coats are the first thing you see. So I like that fit. Do you like it better than the cowboy fit?
No.
No, the cowboy fit. All right. Sounds like we need that cowboy fit. All right, let's try it. That's a good look on you, man.
Yeah. All right, so we've been here at Sue's, at Bootleg, downtown Chico. Mr. Ward giving me style tips. We found a few cool things today.
So, but I have a question though, before
Okay.
we sign off or whatever. Because you said in the beginning you weren't really sure what your vibe was, you know what I mean? But it felt like you were gravitating towards something as we were doing that, you know what I mean? And Breeza was feeling it too. So what do you think your vibe was of all those fits that you tried on? What would you say spoke to you the most?
So the number one would be that red cowboy
So
shirt.
you're
that we
feeling the
found
cowboy.
Yeah, I think I am feeling the cowboy.
Yeah, why not, right?
Which I guess I never really thought that would be me.
You don't have to be. I mean, you just got to feel the vibe, right? I mean, so it's a state of mind. What this happened to me. I was in Louisiana, and I was down with the family, and we were taking a tour of the swamps, right? And there was this guy, Cajun family. He had been there for generations and generations. And then, I was asking him about, what does it mean to be a Cajun? He's like, no, being a Cajun is a state of mind. He goes, anybody can be a Cajun. It's just a state of mind, once you figure that out. And so that's all it is, right? So no one's saying you own a horse or anything like that. It's just a state of mind, right? That's all it is.
So you would say being stylish is the same way? It's not about specific actions, it's about state of mind?
Yeah, it's just about creativity, right? So your style it doesn't come from money. Style comes from creativity, right? And that's all it really is. And so if you're being creative, and if you're paying respect to those old cowboy outfits, I mean, that's cool, right? I mean, someone's got to celebrate all that. So, don't be afraid about it. Don't feel like, oh, I got to, if you wear a NASCAR jacket, it doesn't mean you drove in NASCAR. If you wear a football, jersey, it doesn't mean you played in the NFL, right? So same applies.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for you guys too, the students. Don't be ashamed or afraid to try something new.
Well, just you want to be yourself, right? So everyone's got their own vibe. You just got to find what that is. And once you find it, you start having fun with it, and you feel comfortable with it, right? And that's it. So did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for showing me around.
Yeah.
Teaching me. I guess I'll have to be doing this more often. I mean, those of you know, my wardrobe doesn't change too much. I'm usually in either button-up shirts or a hoodie. So I guess we can start expanding that now.
Yeah. And so Breeza, what did you think of the experience? Would you give it thumbs up, thumbs down, or in the middle?
Thumbs up, because he doesn't usually look for things stylish like that.
Okay, good. Well, it sounds like it was a success.
Do you want to talk about that experience at all?
No, it was really cool. It was a pleasure to meet you and your wife. And your wife was my former student many years ago. And so it was really nice to see you guys again and hang out in Chico together. And I was able to give you some merch, which I was really glad to do. And I want to give you more merch because I have a lot of stuff that, quite frankly, I have too much stuff. And a lot of stuff doesn't fit. Because you're a bigger guy. I think you're 6'2", and so a lot of the stuff that I have is your size. And so I was happy to give you things. And like I said, I know you bought that cowboy shirt, which I think looks great on you. It was kind of funny because that was my old cowboy shirt, which I love that cowboy shirt. And then I sold it to Sue, and then that's the one that you and your wife picked out, And so that was kind of cool that you have my old cowboy shirt. I had that cowboy shirt forever too, by the way. I've had that thing for many, many years. So I'm glad that you got it. And then we didn't find a pair of pants for you. So I went through my old vintage jeans, and I found a pair of vintage Wranglers that'll go perfect with that cowboy shirt. And I want to give you those today. And just, so you can have that matching fit. Now all you need is a pair of boots, because tennis shoes is not going to cut it with that outfit.
That's what I learned from Mr. Ward. I'm a pretty big tennis shoe guy, but I learned that with the kind of stuff that we were looking at, that my tennis shoes aren't going to cut it.
Yeah, you have to have, black shoes or boots will really ground you. And that's really important. So if you have a nice fit, but then you wear a pair of tennis shoes with it, beat up running shoes, it's just not going to work. You're not going to look really grounded. So then when you tried those boots on, she had those really nice black boots, it kind of put the whole fit together. So anyway, so I think that's your next thing now, is you get a nice pair of boots.
All right, boots is next. We've kind of gone through a journey with Mr. Ward here, MrWardStyle. We appreciate you coming on, giving advice about being who you are authentically, never really toning yourself down, and using who you are to not only, confidence is key, but also to bring and spread goodness and positivity through this world. So we appreciate you for coming on and sharing your message.
You bet.
It's been a pleasure having
you.
you.
Always bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. And there'll always be somebody who try to drag you down or make fun of you or whatever. Don't worry about that. Don't even listen to them. You be you. You be yourself. And that's the main message that I would like to get across.
Yeah, that really shows that when you're who you are and you use your voice authentically, amazing things can happen.
It really will. Your world will open up. Otherwise, when you're not and you're all closed up because you're afraid to be yourself, it's hard to grow when you do that. So you gotta let your light shine.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your story, your style, and your wisdom.
Thank
I know
you.
our listeners are going to be inspired. Whoever's listening
Thank
out
you.
there. So.
You're really good at what you do. And so I appreciate you, and I appreciate the whole community.
All right. Well, this has been the Tiger Talk. As always, be sure to check us out. If you missed our last episodes with Mr. Gutierrez or with Mr. Verk, you can find those on the Tiger Spirit Google Classroom. If you have any ideas or potential guests you want to see on the podcast, go ahead and drop a note in the box in the career room with Mrs. Brining.
All right, you guys. Remember, always keep it fresh.
You have to teach me that. What is it?
Okay,
What is
one
it?
more time. So you guys, remember, always keep it fresh.
Over and out. Awesome.